Hey guys, just a heads up, through my partnership with Control Freak, my discount code IMMORTAL will get you 20% off your order through the 10th. So if you do want to pick up a new set of thumbsticks or anything else from the Control Freak site, be sure to use my code at checkout. And now on to today's video. Well, it's no secret that the Gunsmith in Modern Warfare offers a seemingly endless amount of class setups and customization options. When it comes down to making hidden weapon variants, the Gunsmith offers a lot of variety there as well. Specifically, the AK-47 offers quite a few different loadouts you can end up forging together, including the AK-74U and the RPK, which we've already taken a look at recently. And today we're adding another secret variant onto that list with the AK-12. This is a setup that you guys have been asking for quite a bit. The AK-12 does actually appear in the campaign of this game. You can find it throughout the missions. However, in multiplayer it is MIA. That is, unless you build it from the AK-47 via the Gunsmith. So today we're doing just that. Before we get into it though, if you are new here and you want to see more guides like this, or you just want to stay up to date with the latest news and intel regarding Call of Duty, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when I upload a new video. And of course, if you enjoy this one, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And now let's get into building the AK-12 here in Modern Warfare. Now, obviously, you are going to need to be at least level 53 for this conversion kit, as you will have to have the AK-47 assault rifle unlocked. And being that it is the very last AR you end up getting, there is some grind time required to get to the point in which you can start creating this setup. You will also have to have your AK-47 at a decently high weapon level. I can't remember the exact level you'll need to be since mine is maxed out and I can no longer see what level you get certain attachments, but by looking at the attachments we have today, you should be able to see just how close you are to unlocking each one of them. That said, the AK-12 is a bit tricky because, unlike the other conversions that we've done so far, this one doesn't have any one-for-one attachments outside of one that is pretty obvious. So it's a very makeshift setup compared to, say, the RPK or the M16, which have direct attachments based for them specifically. But nonetheless, the AK-12 is definitely doable. The first attachment you'll end up needing is the Spetsnaz Elite Barrel attachment, which, conveniently enough, is the very first barrel you end up unlocking, so you'll gain access to this one relatively quickly. The Spetsnaz Elite Barrel ends up adding an increase to your damage range and also to your bullet velocity, which is a really important benefit to have on this weapon, and you'll see why as we get later on into the video. On the downside though, you do end up losing some aim down sight speed, which you will ultimately notice in-game, as the AK-47 in its base form doesn't really have the best ADS speed as is. Kind of unfortunate, but in order to really build the AK-12, it is a necessary attachment to have. Then we have the Forged Tac Ultralight stock, which is the stock option the AK-12 apparently uses in the campaign. And truth be told, this is one of the better stock options you have on the AK-47 in general. The Forged Tac Ultralight ends up increasing your aim walking movement speed, aka your strafing speed, so you will be able to ADS and move around slightly faster than before. But adding this stock on there does also decrease your aiming stability, so you might be able to notice a little bit more sway on the weapon, especially at those longer distances. Moving on, we then need to throw on the 545x39mm 30 round mags attachment, as the AK-12 does use the 545 rounds and not the 7.62 rounds like the stock AK does. And this is really the most important attachment of the entire setup to truly transform the AK-47 into the AK-12. Now, unfortunately, because of this attachment, you are not able to run any kind of extended mags whatsoever. You are stuck at that simple 30 round magazine, which is a bit of a drawback if you ask me, especially when you consider the fact that this attachment also increases the fire rate, so you end up having to reload a little sooner than before while holding down the trigger. But they also do decrease the overall damage and the range too. So, looking back to the Spetsnaz Elite Barrel, that improved range is going to sort of counteract that drop off there ever so slightly. I then choose to add the Commando foregrip on there, as that's going to end up increasing the recoil stabilization and the aiming stability, once again just kind of countering some of the negative effects of the previous attachments that we have on the gun. But with this attachment also comes a decrease to the overall movement speed, which is once again a slight drawback, but all things considered, I think the pros outweigh the cons in this situation. Then, to wrap up the attachments on the AK-12, per usual, I've got the stippled grip tape on there as well, and once again, despite this not being the most quote-unquote mandatory attachment in terms of simply creating the AK-12, when it comes to this weapon's performance in-game, this grip is tremendously useful. It ends up increasing the aim down sight speed and the sprint to fire speed in exchange for a slight decrease in aiming stability. Now, as we've seen, the overall movement speed on this weapon really isn't anything to write home about. However, this attachment does actually bring it back up a little, and when it comes to this game, we all know just how important it is to be able to 1. Get out of sprinting and start firing as soon as possible, and 2. Get your sights raised as soon as possible, so the stippled grip is going to help with both of those quite a bit. Now, we've got all 5 attachment spots filled, but really the main ones you are going to end up needing are the Spetsnaz Elite Barrel, the Forged Tac Ultralight Stock, and of course the 545x39mm rounds. The foregrip and the grip tape are both personal preferences of mine, however both do end up allowing the weapon to excel even more in-game if you ask me. You will see that on the stat sheet, the accuracy, the range, the fire rate, the mobility, and the control all end up increasing, and only the damage drops down a bit because we are changing the ammo type. So all around, this setup really ends up transforming the AK-47 in every single category, and it shows in-game. So when comparing this gun to the stock AK-47, I definitely think it is a better option. Obviously, once you have your standard AK kitted out with other attachments, the performance might vary depending on what all you have selected on your gun, but really my preferred AK class is actually now this setup because I think it's a lot more versatile than the AK setup I was previously using. The AK-12 feels a bit more like a rush-friendly assault rifle in a sense, as it does not feel nearly as heavy as the AK-47 does when running around with it, and despite the ADS speed just being decent at best, I found quite a bit of success with this weapon while playing a bit more aggressive. As far as the recoil goes, the stock AK-47 is absolutely plagued by the amount of kick you have when holding down the trigger, meaning you really have to tap fire a lot to really succeed with it. But the AK-12 is a weapon that has minimal recoil, and holding down the trigger is definitely not a nuisance like it was before. You do notice the weapon doesn't kill as quickly thanks to that decreased damage and damage range, but by no means is this weapon weak. It is still plenty capable of holding its own, maybe not on the same level of the M4A1 or the Kilo or even the M13, but I think it is a solid alternative to the AK-47 and honestly plenty of other weapons in the game as well. Now, strictly comparing it to the other conversion kit weapons that we've made so far, I'm going to go ahead and say the AK-12 is actually my favorite of them all because it is the most useful and effective hidden variant that we've built so far. The M16, as you all know, was just kind of trash. It just couldn't hang in the game's current meta, and it's also a bit overshadowed by the OG variant you get for hitting rank 155. The AK-74U was solid, but really just up close or in those one-off medium range fights. The RPK was great at pretty much all distances, but it really was not the most mobile weapon in the world, and the MP5K was stuck being a close quarters phenom, but in a medium to long range fight it was a lost cause 99.9% of the time. But not only does the AK-12 excel in those medium range fights like you would expect it to, but because of its lower recoil, which is reduced even more by mounting a wall or a ledge, it's also a solid long-range weapon too. And because we didn't tear down that mobility or aiming down sight speed all that much by the end of the conversion, close range you do actually stand a fighting chance, pending the enemies are not using something like a shotgun or a submachine gun. So all around, I'd give this setup a solid 2 thumbs up out of 5 stars. Honestly, I would actually recommend the gun not just for the AK-12 feel, but for a solid AK-47 attachment setup in general. Like I mentioned earlier on, you do not necessarily need to copy this setup one for one exactly. Really, it's the stock, the barrel, and the ammo conversion that you need in order to make this weapon look and feel like the base AK-12. And from that point on, you basically just have free reign over what other 2 attachments you do want to end up using. But yeah, all around, the AK-12 is definitely a solid secret weapon variant. Now, with all of that being said, that is effectively how you can make the AK-12 here in Modern Warfare. Be sure to let me know what conversion guide you want to see next down in the comments below, and if you've missed any of the ones that we've done so far, feel free to check those out. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And of course, if you are new here and you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty, including all the latest news and intel, updates and leaks, and pretty much everything else in between, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when I post a new video. As always, if you would like to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all G Fuel, Control Freak, and Respawn products. You can find all of those links listed down in the description below. And once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.